Alright, thanks for tuning into Boxing Wave. I wanted to speak on this topic, casual fans against hardcore boxing fans, because I just wanted to give my opinion on what I felt are the differences between the two, why people label others to be a casual fan or hardcore fan or whatever. You know, I think a lot of things, a lot of opinions that are made are based on people's boxing IQ on the sport, and a lot of opinions are made because, you know, they're just biased opinions, or, you know, because they're a fan of particular fighters or a particular fighting style. You know, there's so many different opinions on the sport and how they like to watch the sport and how they're entertained by the sport. Now, my definition of a casual fan, right, and the general consensus of a casual fan is a fan that doesn't watch the sport much, you know, if ever. All right, you know, they might like the sport, they might watch it if they're, you know, they go to a particular fight party or a particular fighter is fighting that they do like, and you know, someone that's not super knowledgeable, they don't have extensive knowledge on the sport, you know what I'm saying? Like they know about, you know, certain fighters, but, you know, they don't like, you know, they don't follow the sport to a point where, you know, they know the history or they know the business aspects and the promoters and the belt and the differences between the weight class. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're not super knowledgeable in the sport, right? I can go on forever, give you examples. But this is what I disagree with here, as far as casual fans, okay? Because a casual fan could be someone that's very knowledgeable about the sport that just doesn't, and they don't watch it much. You know, they might watch some fights when they get around to it. You know, they might watch one fight a month. They might watch one fight every 6 months. You know, especially when you're dealing with, when you're talking about older, you know, people that, or when I say older, I mean people, you know, that's at 30s plus, you know, or 40s plus, or been around some time, where, you know, at one point they were watching it a lot more often and they are knowledgeable about the sport, you know, but they just don't watch it that much often, you know. I mean, you know, like my dad, for example, he doesn't watch boxing nearly as often as he did when I was young, or, you know, before I came up. But he's very knowledgeable about the sport. You know, he could talk about fights that's happened in the past. He could watch fights today, and, you know, just based on his opinion, you could tell that he's knowledgeable about the sport. Like, he's more than just a casual fan, you know. But he just doesn't watch it that often. You know, he doesn't know who a lot of guys of today are, except the popular people, obviously. But there's a lot of boxers that hardcore fans would know without a doubt that he might not know of, but he might have more knowledge on actually boxing, you know what I'm saying? Like a trainer would, or, you know, a person that's been in the gym, that's been in the ring, that laced the gloves and everything like that. So you can't, you know, there's different ways, different levels of being a casual fan, you know, comparing it to a hardcore fan. Now, a lot of people think brawls or brawlers are what casual fans like, and I disagree with that. You know, there's a lot of casual fans that, you know, like I know, you know, someone, a close relative of mine doesn't watch boxing much, but when Andre Ward fights, he'll make sure he'll watch the fight. You know, he likes Andre Ward, and Andre Ward is a defensive-minded fighter, very technical fighter. You know, he's a fighter that a lot of hardcore boxer fans don't like because they think he's too boring. Depending on whatever reason why you think he's boring, whether the way he handles himself in the ring, how he handles himself outside of the ring, there's so many, you know, that's just his opinion, or that's just a lot of people's opinions from, you know, just being around and hearing what people say about Andre Ward. You know, that's just their opinion. Now, brawlers. My definition of a brawler. You know, a guy that substitutes defense for offense all the time throughout the whole fight. You know, Provodnikov, you got Angulo, you got James Kirkland. These guys are straight killers where they just want to beat you up. They don't care if they have to take punishment. Okay? Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti fight is a perfect example. Alright? That is a brawl. That is a bloodbath. Now, just because of a fight is action-packed doesn't mean it's a brawl. It's a lot of exchanges. But two boxers can get into that kind of fight. Lucas Matisse, Danny Garcia. Now, a lot of you might not consider Lucas Matisse as a boxer, right? But that was a Fight of the Year candidate, in my opinion. You know, you got Danny Garcia, who I consider a boxer puncher. He's not really super technical. You know, he's not on a level as a Floyd Mayweather or, you know, or Rignial or anything like that. But at the same time, he's hold on. But at the same time, you know, he cares about defense. You know, he just doesn't want to go in there and slug it out. You know, but yeah, you know, a lot of people, you know, I don't think that was a brawl. I think that was an action-packed fight, but I wouldn't call it a brawl, a bloodbath. You know what I'm saying? But if a casual fan, a person that don't watch the fight much, that does finally sit down and want to see a good fight, you know, they would like that fight. You know, like, you know, I'm assuming, I'm sure they would like that fight. You know, most likely, chances are they would like that fight. It doesn't always have to be a straight bloodbath. You know, another fight that I can think of, recent fight, is Froch and Groves. You know, that's one of my favorite fights of the year. So now these are two boxers, in my opinion. You know, I think this is even a better example. You know, Froch went down in the first round. It ended with a stoppage. You know, it was back and forth, especially in the later rounds. It was a great fight, in my opinion. You know, whatever you like, you know, the outcome of the fight, it was a great fight. So you can't really, you know, you can't really judge a casual fan for liking great fights, action-packed fights. You can't just put them in that place of being a casual fan because they just want to see brawls. You know, you could be a hardcore boxing fan and just don't like guys that are super defensive. You might not like Rignial, you might not like Lara, you might not like Mayweather. You know, but Mayweather, I mean, I don't even want to include him because a lot of people want to see Mayweather fight, not because he give the best fights, but they just want to see him keep winning. You know, this is why he has a lot of viewers. People want to see him either keep winning or losing. You know, they pay to see him lose. Hopefully the guy that he's fighting, they think can beat him, and they want to pay to see that happen. You know, but guys like that's not as popular, like Rignial. You know, this guy's super defensive. You know, and I'll admit, you know, I like him a lot. He's like, you know, I just did my list on my favorite fighters, my top 10, and he barely missed my list. But it's hard. You know, it's really hard to put him in my list because, you know, his fights, you know, I liked him when he was actually knocking people out. But now that he stepped up in the level in competition, it's a little harder to do that, you know, because he just doesn't take risks. You know, he doesn't take risks, and these guys got tough chips. He's a small guy fighting in a small division, you know, and it just, you know, I just can't really put him up there. You know, there's so many different examples I could give here, you know, and I was watching D-Style, and, you know, I seen D-Style's video, and I see Tito Garcia's videos, you know, and they were, you know, kind of exchanging some things in there, and, you know, I agree with both of them. You know, they both made good points. You know, D-Style feels that, you know, if you like a technical fight and you enjoy it, doesn't mean I'm a liar, you know. And I agree with him. You know, Tito says something about, you know, if you don't like certain fights and you're not entertained by that, you're a liar. You know, and I kind of disagree with that, but I get what Tito was saying too at the same time, because Bradley Provodnikov was fight of the year, and I did not like Tim Bradley before that fight. I didn't like him at 140. I have nothing against with him. I'm not saying I didn't like him like I don't like him like dislike him, but I was never a fan of Tim Bradley. I just never cared for him at 140. Always thought he was good, you know, but I just wasn't a fan of him, you know. And the Manny Pacquiao fight didn't make me a fan of his because, you know, at first I thought Pacquiao won the fight. So when he fought Provodnikov, that was like my favorite, instantly like my favorite fight of the year. Even after all the other fights that happened this year, that was my favorite fight, because, and now I'm a fan of Tim Bradley because he was able to face adversity. You know, he was getting beat up, he was knocked down, he kept getting up, he was hurt, he kept fighting, he was a warrior. And not only because of those reasons, but because he realized that, listen, I gotta fight my fight. I gotta outbox this guy or I'm gonna lose. And that's what he did. And he turned the fight around. You know, and Provodnikov still was able to drop him again. But it was a great fight because of the styles and the outcome. Like, this guy could have went the Sugar Ray Leonard fight and tried to beat Duran at his own game. But you know what? He smartened up midway through the fight and was able to say, you know what? I gotta fight my fight against this guy. This guy is a monster. I can't beat him at his own game. Provodnikov has no regard for defense. You know, he just goes in there and gets punched in the face. But as long as he gets hits on you, that's fine. So I get what Tito is coming out. You know, I get what he's saying in his video. You know, I agree with both of them. You know, but you know, my thing is I like boxer punchers that get into action-packed fights. Andre Berto, Victor Ortiz, another example. These guys have boxing ability that are able to slug it out with you at the same time. What fights I don't like are straight slugging bloodbaths. I don't like those kind. I don't like Angulo and Kirkland fighting. You know, that's not a fight that I would really want to see. Like, I would watch it, but that's not a fight that would entertain me, you know. You know, I want to see some kind of defensive ability in some of these fighters. You know, I don't like to watch a Mickey Ward or Toro Gotti fight. I've never watched that fight more than once. I can't remember how it went. I've never watched it again since the first time I saw it. That's just not my type of fighting. I've never watched it again, and I never will. I DVR the special they had on it last year. I've never watched the DVR still. You know, I save it on there because one day I want to get around to watching the story because of the story. But those fights, I don't like fighters that just get punched in the face, you know, all fight. That's just not my style. I mean, it is entertaining, but it's just not my style. So basically, all I'm trying to say is, you know, you can't judge a casual fan based on the type of fights he like. A lot of people only likes heavyweight fighters. Some people don't even watch boxing under 147 pounds. Some people don't watch boxing anymore because the heavyweight division is that they like to see big, strong guys trying to knock each other out, you know. They don't like these little guys and the lower weight divisions fighting. You know, a lot of guys just like 160 and up. Some people only like 147 and up, you know, and they can't name one boxer under 147 or 140, you know. So you just can't. It doesn't mean they're a casual fan. They just don't like, they might have a lot of knowledge on heavyweights. You know, I follow a lot of international boxing fans on Twitter, and these guys only talk about the heavyweight division. They only tweet about that division. You know, that's all they do. I noticed that. You know, because they just don't care about the lower division, the fighters that's from the States. They care about the fighters they're from their countries. You know, so you can't just put everybody in one bubble, you know. You got to respect everybody's opinion and, you know, whatever style of boxing they like or whatever division or whatever, you know, whatever kind of fights they like in fighters. All right, so my time is running out on here. So thanks for checking out the video.